Hi guys, so great to see you. Welcome to my art studio. I'm happy you're here. Let me know how everything sounds. Today we are going to be working on this painting. As you can see, I got it framed. I got it framed so that I can work on the painting and bring the painting onto the frame. This is one of my favorite paintings, and I have shown it a few times at art shows, and after looking at it over the last year or so, I see some things that I want to add. One, I want to add texture to my painting, so I'm going to show you how you can add texture to your painting as well. And two, I'm going to bring the painting onto the actual frame. This is something that I've seen other creatives do, and I'm here for it. There's remnants of dried flowers on here, which I will be picking off, and then I might re-add them later, but I'll also be painting over the flowers, and that will just be texture. And I have other textures. I have other things I'm going to add to the painting, like moss. I might add gold leaf. I might add broken glass. I might add a little bit of this fake moss or some fake flowers. So I'm just going to be open to the possibilities, and I want you to consider how you can potentially incorporate these techniques into your paintings, and realize that just because you finished a painting a few years ago doesn't necessarily mean that your painting is done. Maybe you look at it later and you decide to go back into it and change something. So keep that in mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix my painting colors. I'm using a heavy body acrylic paint called Gaffrey. It's a beautiful sunny day. So I have, and I'm also mixing the Gaffrey paint with my Artist Loft and other paints that I have on hand. So it might take a second to add all the paint to my palette and to mix them, but I will bring you on the mixing process. Okay. Part of me wonders if I should have done this before I started recording, but here we are. At least you know what to expect whenever you're painting. You have to put paint on your palette. So I have a mixture of fluorescent paints, as well as just regular paints. This one's almost out. I can tell just by looking at it. Barely any came out of that. I might have to throw that one away soon. Make sure you get your dark blue, your red, and your yellow at the very least. White and black are also really important. So I've got my dark blue. I've got my white, so I'm going to move some of this up to the top like this, and I do highly recommend buying Gaffrey heavy body acrylic paint. This is not an ad. I'm just letting you know because that's going to add texture to your painting. I always end up getting red all over myself, so I have to be careful. And look, I already have red on my paint. Or on my, yeah. Oh, there's just paint getting everywhere. It is what it is. That's just part of it. If you guys have been with me long enough, you know I'm not immune to getting it on my clothes. So I have to be mindful of that as well. All right, let's see. Where's my, okay, so I need just a little bit more dark blue, I think. Maybe some turquoise. Love this color. So I actually have 3 shades of blue right now on my palette. And I do need a little bit more red. Technically, you're supposed to put clips over the hole, but I don't have the clips. Wow. Okay. Very good. I'm getting up and just stretching a little bit. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start mixing my colors. Oh, I forgot black. That's an important color. You definitely need black. I'm trying to pick off the little dried seal. Okay, there we go. All right. See, these are the clips that go with it. All right. All right. So we're gonna do a light purple by taking light blue and pink. Oh, here's another trick. All right, you need your palette knife, obviously, but if you're working with acrylic, keep your palette wet by adding water, just like this, to your paints. Just sprinkle it on. That's just a little hack. Okay, so we've got some light purple. Let's do some dark purple. We're gonna take some blue, some dark blue, a little bit of black, and a little bit of red. Let's just see what that makes. That's a good color. Okay. Now some dark, kind of muddy blue. So we're going to take some light blue, some dark blue, and a little bit of black and just see what happens. That's good. The next color, let's do some pink. Just taking some pink and a little bit of white and a little bit of purple that's already on my paint palette. And just mixing. That's nice. I'll do one shade lighter by taking white, some fluorescent pink, and some light pink that I have. And if your colors aren't the exact same, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. It's important to find your colors. Okay, now a dark blue, almost black. So I'm taking black, some red, and some dark blue. I'm gonna do a lot of shading with this. Okay. That's good. All right, now let's make a light turquoise. So I'm gonna take my already kind of turquoise color and mix that with white. Very nice. I'm trying to think if there's any other colors I need. I think that's, let's do some fluorescent yellow, white, and some turquoise, but mostly white. And this is gonna be kind of like a highlight. That's nice. Very nice. Love it. So these are the colors that we have. So one thing that I'm noticing that I don't really love is the fact that it feels like some of these objects are just stuck on the painting, which there's nothing technically wrong with that, but I kind of want them to feel more integrated into the painting. So what we're going to do is we're going to put paint around it. I'm going to intensify some of the shapes happening just after painting more landscapes. I'm realizing that this one will be more effective if I make some more solid shapes in here. But I want to keep the essence of what we have going. I don't want to take away from it too much. So let's just go with the first step, which is I'm actually going to do a wash, and I'm going to paint over a lot of this to bring it down a little bit so that parts that I bring out will be even more effective. And I do have my little reference image that I created. So, yeah, I'm going off of that, but a lot of this is also from my imagination. Like, none of the objects that are on here, none of the texture is from the reference. It's all from the noggin. So it's a balance of bringing both together, and I'm excited. Thanks for being here. Hi. I'm going to use a kind of a slightly large brush, and even though this is about adding texture, we are going to be adding some other things. I'm mixing water with my medium blue shade, and I'm going to go in and tone down some of the color transitions. I'm going to go back and forth between blues, purples. Taking a little bit of light blue, brightening it up in here. Basically, I want it to be a little bit more of a vignette. Darker on the outside, a little brighter in the center. So we'll work on that. So taking the wash. The beads are making a sound, so just consider that part of the ASMR. Making the clouds just a little bit more purpley. it's okay if some of the paint gets on the frame, because I'm going to be extending the painting onto the frame, which, to be honest, is kind of scary because the frame was expensive. It was a custom frame because they don't really make frames that are, evidently they don't make very many 24 by 24 perfectly square frames unless it's for a poster. And this is not a poster, so. But I feel confident that that's going to be the right decision. It's just I have to be mindful. I'll tell you basically my vision for the frame here in a second. First, I'm going to continue working on just kind of pushing some of the color. Like in here, I'm going to make this a bit more turquoise. Now I'm going to take a little bit of purple, move some of the purple back in to the color scheme. I'm going to take a little bit of dark purple, move it through the right side of the lower corner of the water. As you can see, texture is starting to build. I have an idea. I'm gonna try it 1 second. I'll be right back. So I have all of these dried palette papers, and what I love about them is the blobs. So I'm wondering if I can take some of the blobs and add them on in the places that match the color. I think it's a really good idea. I'm gonna try it. Worst case scenario, I hate it. But I can at least add the blobs on and then paint over the blobs, if that makes sense. So save your paint palettes. Do you see how blobby it is? I'll give you a closer up look. And see? So I need to get, I'm gonna grab some scissors. That's my next step. I have to look around in my studio. Hang on, okay? Just hang tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Wrong saying for the wrong time of day, I think. Okay, 1 second. Let's see if I have any back here. Yep, I do. Woohoo! Okay. All right. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, so already I'm seeing, like, do you see how this matches in here? So I'm gonna cut it out. Let's see if I could put that up there. And like the thing is after I put it on there, I can still paint around it. But I still want to try to do some color matching. cutting up the blob a little bit. I mean, that looks pretty cool and it works. Okay. So I have my, let me put this here. I have my Gorilla Glue. If you've never used Gorilla Glue before, just be careful. Make sure you don't get it on your skin, or you're gonna be stuck together all day. And we don't want that. So I'm just gonna, let's put this here. Maybe I should put it. I think right here. All right, you squish it on there. Just kind of leave it there for a second. And then I cut that piece in half. So I'm gonna add this other piece somewhere else. I'm gonna cut this as well. Yeah, so it looks more organic, but what you wanna do is make sure that you're not obstructing some of the light structures that you already have in place. But also, if you, like I said, you can always like paint over it. But having little clusters of a few of the same thing together can make it look better. Let's put this one over here. Like I said, I'm trying to blend it in with what I already have. So I'm gonna leave that there. And I'm gonna just do this in a few other places on the trees to start. I don't want to get too carried away. And then I'll paint over it to see if it does what I'm wanting it to do. What other colors do I have? I've got this bright pink. Here's another little blob. Okay, that looks good. Maybe, or maybe back in here. I think in here. That looks good. Oh my Lord. Look at this. What the heck? Yes, that happened. Wow. I'm clumsy. I am. Okay. When something like this happens, remain calm. Oh my Lord. Okay. Alright, I think I got that wiped off. Now let's go with this next. Okay. Alright. Success. Now just throw that away, far away. Because if it's near you, it will get on you. Go away. Alright. Alright, let's try this again. That was redonkulous, but I'm not surprised that happened because things like that happen all the time. That looks good. Okay. I mean, that could belong there. Maybe up in here a little bit. It's not too dissimilar from what I already have. I don't know. I'll keep that one on hand. Okay. I want to see if I can paint over that a little bit and see if my idea worked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a smaller brush, something this size, and I am going to paint around with the texture. First, we're going to paint some of these branches back in. Oh, it's not totally dry, but I just want to paint enough to know if this looks good. And then let's take a little bit of the purple, and I'm going to get a pretty good amount. Kind of blob it on there. You paint it into the painting a little bit. That's the goal. Let's get a little bit of more black in here. That looks good though. And I don't want it to be everywhere, like I said. I want to keep the overall vibe of the painting. I just want to add more texture to it, because it wants more texture with these things on it. It wants more painting texture though. Look, I'm gonna blend that in. It's moving around because it's still a little wet, but that's okay. All right. What do you think? Is that a little bit of a highlight in here? So far, I think it's staying true to the overall essence of the painting, which is so important. When you go back into a painting after any time really of not working on it, you want to make sure that you stay true to the essence of the painting rather than skipping ahead and trying to make it into something that it's not. And even though I'm working on it and adding to it, I want to make sure that it looks like it belongs and that I'm not changing the essence, and I'm just enhancing it. Kind of like putting makeup on. For the girls who put on makeup, we know that you're not covering your face, you're enhancing what you already have. So keep that in mind. When going back in and adding texture, you're just enhancing it. Because the truest form of texture, the most authentic form of texture, is just texture that's built up over time with no intention. It's just built up through trial and error and that type of thing. Does that make sense? Hopefully so. Alright. I love this dress. I just bought it and I think it's so cute. Let's see if there's any more just obvious texture pieces I can use. This one's a good little blob. That one could go here, maybe. I wonder if I could just peel it off. Wow. I peeled it off successfully. Okay. So I'm thinking this one can go here. This is a pretty impressive blob. And it matches this area. It might interfere with some of these beads. That looks good. It's a pretty intense blob, but I love it, and it blends, and it's perfect. Okay. I added my glue and now I'm just pushing the blob onto the canvas. Part of me wishes I used hot glue, to be honest, because this one takes longer to actually dry, but it does dry. This one is dripping a little bit right there. I might have to hold it here for a minute. This one is heavier than some of the other blobs, probably. So, it is what it is. If this one doesn't stay on, then it's just not meant to be for now, and I can always add some hot glue to it later. So that is an option. Just holding it here. Okay. I think it's dry enough. I'm hoping it is. Okay. Now I'm going to take some of my fluorescent paint, my fluorescent pink, and blend it in a little bit with... No! Okay, that one doesn't want to stay. Okay. Fuck that one. Whatever. I really want it there, but it's just, it doesn't want to stay. It's making me sad. I could let my hot glue gun heat up, but all right, let's just see if the glue is still wet, so let's not mess with it, see if it stays. All right. Let me see if I can go find some hot glue. This is what it takes to make art sometimes. Sometimes you have to be committed and okay with the fact that it just isn't happening as quickly as you want it to. So it is what it is. I found another blob. This one's a really good one. That one could go there. I want it to be blobbier the closer it is to the viewer. I kind of like it here too. It's more blue in here. I feel like right here is good. And I'll blend it in. Or maybe down here. No, over here. I'm gonna cut it just a little bit to kind of match the flow of the water. Okay, that's good. If this doesn't stay, I'm just gonna have to take a break and try something else. This one isn't nearly as heavy as the other blob, so it should be fine. Fingers crossed. So I'm gonna let that one dry. And for more blobs, here's a nice little blob. Ooh, maybe I should put this little blob here instead of the big one. I'm seeing it as a sign that that blob was just too big. Yeah, nothing else on that one. Here's some nice blobs that are in my color scheme. That's kind of a nice spot for it. Or maybe, yeah, right here. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And again, I'll go in, blend it in a little bit after it dries. Similar to what I did up there. And I don't want to do so much that it like takes away from what I already have, but here's another nice little blob. I feel like this one could maybe go in here. Kind of like what we have over here. And maybe up in here, in between. I feel like right here is the spot. I'm just going to hold it there for a little bit. That's good. Okay. Here's a nice green blob. I could maybe put up here. I don't know if it's a little bit too much. I think I would just need to blend it in after I stuck it on there. I kind of like it. I think this way is good. Check my Twitch. For some reason, I don't know why, every time I check it on my app, I can't really see everybody. I can't really see all the comments. So I'm still perfecting my setup. I'm gonna get it to where I can see the comments like way easier. Oh, my phone's gonna die. Hang on. And where's my coffee? I had a coffee laying around here and I don't know where it is. Huh. Oh, it's hiding. Look, it's behind. It's right here. Of course, it's right under my nose. It's supposed to be an iced coffee, but it's melted. It is what it is. It's technically a dirty chai mixed with coffee because I had an iced coffee and an iced chai. Half were done, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna like mix this up, make a little concoction for myself. So it does the trick, you know. All right, let's put this here. Going back to my reference. Okay. Here are the blobs. I'm gonna go in and just do some painting with thick paint to create organic texture. I'm doing kind of a stippling type of vibe. So this particular scene is backlit. blobs, which means that the light's coming from behind the view, which is important to note because that usually results in a halo around your subject. So around the painting, kind of light, and then the inside of the tree is darker. So doing blobs of the darkness. All right. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just kind of going boop, just laying down that thick paint in order to create organic texture rather than the texture that I added intentionally, which is less organic, meaning it's less just happenstance. It's more intentional. Too bright, but whatever. Let's just move this in here. Alright, I want to use some of this really dark kind of black, and I'm going to scumble it in there. Just kind of make it feel, it's my dark blue mixture. It does have black in it, so it's important to make sure that it's not actual black. Again, I don't want to totally reconfigure the painting per se. I just want to add moments of stronger texture and some shapes that are a little bit more defined. I want it to be like where you're looking into it and you are surprised and rewarded by all the details that you see. Big blob. Do you see how I just am blending this black in with the purple around it, the other colors? Taking the pink, let's move some of this pink around the blob that I put on there so that it's not clear that I stuck it on there. I'm gonna add like a few other I really gotta scoop up the paint. Oh my lord. Okay, so it's already getting there for me. So remember I told you I wanted to add paint on the frame, but I'm not sure exactly how I want it yet. I have an idea, but it's like scary to go there. You know what I mean? I want it to be intentional when I do get there, so I'm kind of okay. Some purple around the blob. So this is moving, so I gotta be careful. Let's get some bright pink. I'm gonna move that through this blob to break it up, and all of a sudden it feels more integrated. I'm gonna add some purple through it as well. That looks good. I don't know, though. I'm torn. Should I have done the purple? I don't know. Let's take some more pink. I think it looks good. I like it. Painting over it is really what's gonna make it feel nuanced and not silly. Okay. Adding some pink on this one. Breaking this one up with a little bit of purple. I forgot about this one over here. Let's take some darker purple and move it around this blob. Already that looks so good. Let's add a little bit of yellow in here so it feels highlighted. I'm gonna go ahead and blend some of these in and do a little more intuitive painting, and then I want to add paint around like the objects that I stuck onto the canvas, and yeah, then I might go in and add some on the frame. So it's gonna take some time. Like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna get done today. You know, all good things take time, so it's not about rushing it. Like I said, I started this painting over a year ago, and I was like done with it until I decided to get it framed, and then I was like, okay, I have a vision for this on how I can bring it to a whole other level. So I'm excited. Mixing a light blue, and I'm gonna move that through thickly through the painting. Ooh, I love that. That looks good. And then up here, I might have to mix some more paint actually, but I'm just gonna add the dark purple around this moment here, and then highlighting it with some pink, and that looks pretty good. I like it. This is very like nuanced, where there's not a ton of step by step through this, but I'm showing you this little hair just but I'm showing you what I'm doing so that you can implement something like this to your painting if you want, so you know the possibilities out there. And how will you know if you don't see other people doing it? So that's the whole point. This lid is so weird. It's shaped funny, so it's like hard to actually drink out of. Okay. All right. So I have this moss stuff. It's fake and I love it, and I've used it for other things, so we're gonna use it today. And honestly, this is probably best used with hot glue, but whatever. I'm gonna peel off some pieces, and it's pretty messy. I'm probably gonna have to bring in a this is cool, bring in a vacuum cleaner later and vacuum in here a little bit. Just pulling off a few colors to work with. And then at the bottom here, we have little pieces of bark and wood. So let's put this back in. You can get this at your local art store, and it has a weird texture, so be aware of that. Ugh, I don't like the way it feels. Okay, hang on. Get some more water on my paint palette. Like I said, keeping your acrylics wet is key. Nice. Okay. You hanging in there? Hopefully so. I'm glad you're here and I'm excited. This is a lot of fun. And I just can't believe how much my dress actually matches this. I actually wanted this for another painting, and I realized that it matched this one really well. So, yeah. All right. Let me pull up my reference. All right, let's do some moss. Let's see what it looks like. So I put some up here. Love it. And this I can really like get it partially on the frame. That's what I'm gonna do. Only I want it more so. Okay. Just gonna put some glue, Lord, onto my canvas and just I might need to get hot glue for this one. I don't know if that's gonna work. I've been avoiding hot glue because I can't find my hot glue gun. I know it's somewhere in here, but the thing is about hot glue guns is they work. They actually work. Okay, let me see. I might have to do some hunting. 1 second, okay? And we are back. And I need to wait for my hot glue to warm up, so I'm gonna just work on some mixing and some painting because I am out of a few colors here. So let me get a little bit more blue, dark blue. Goodness gracious, I'm almost out of dark blue, so I'll have to keep that in mind for whenever I'm going shopping. And then probably more white. Where is my white paint? There it is. Okay. Got my palette knife. What I'm gonna do is take some dark blue, some light blue, a little bit of red, mix that up. All right. Now let's make light purpley pink. So by taking light pink, fluorescent pink, a little bit of tiny bit of light turquoise, mix that up. Good. Now let's take a little bit of turquoise, lots of white, and mix that up. Oh my goodness. All right. Now a little bit of that blue mixed with a tiny bit of yellow. And mix that up. All right. Very good. Love it. I'm gonna put the lid on my Gorilla Glue. Don't forget to do that. I feel like I need to squint a little bit to see what's really going on. I'm gonna go in, add some more paint in a few places, some purple. And here it's feeling very active, which I wanted it to be active, but now I'm like, is it maybe a little too active? I don't know. I forgot to mix a dark kind of turquoisey, like a darker turquoise. There. That looks good. Just blending that in a little bit. All right. I want to cover up the remnants of the flowers that I had on here. I might put fake flowers back on, but right now I don't really want the flower petals to be on there. And if you're like, what are you talking about? Basically, I had dried flower petals on here, which I peeled most of them off, and now I'm just painting over them, which is also texture. So, and I knew that there was a chance I would do that at some point, because dried flowers over time, they just kind of crumble. But I was like, whatever, it's ephemeral, and then I'll work with it later. And here we are. I want to make sure I leave the moments of light blue peeking through my tree. taking larger scoops of paint to just paint over some of the areas I already have set in place to build up the texture, matching the color for the most part as best as possible, and maybe even enhancing and adjusting some of the color a little bit here and there. Do you see how I'm scooping large portions of paint and then just, I'm not thinning it out and blending it, I'm just scooping it on there and leaving it. And that is largely how to create the texture. Adding a little bit more dark blue and purple in here, just so it doesn't feel like the black or the darkness is disconnected from the rest of the tree. Adding a little bit of light, a little bit of blue popping through to break it up. Even in here, I feel like it needs to be more blue. It's a little too pink. Adding purple and blue into the pink. Let's blend this in a little bit. By painting around it. That looks good. I feel like if I step away from it, it's gonna look totally different. That's something I love about paintings, but it's also something that can throw you off when you're painting it. So definitely take breaks and step away from it when you can. And squint at it. But like already I'm seeing little things that just after sitting and looking at it for so long, now that I'm back in it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fix this, I'm gonna do this. Need more solid dark shapes in here, just so it feels backlit. But there needs to be dark within the dark, so it can't just be dark, it's got to be different levels of dark. Highlight this just a little bit. In here too, just a little highlight can go a long way. I'm gonna take a picture of it, see what's happening. Ooh, I'm loving it, although something in here is not right. this needs to be a bit more broken up. Maybe like that. I mean, that's way better. Okay. It's definitely getting there. You can see a difference between the left and the right because I've worked more on the left than the right. So it is what it is. That's why I gotta move to the right a little bit. Okay. Pulling up my reference again. So yeah, my reference image, since I've been talking about it, I generated it using Midjourney a while ago, and so I tend to use all kinds of different things for references, but now that AI is in the question and it's just out there, it's important that I use it rather than being afraid of it, because I've got two options. I can either ride the wave, use it as a tool, or I can let it leave me in the dust. So I'm riding the wave, I'm using it as a tool, and hopefully you guys don't fall in love with some AI version of me, and if not, then I think I should be A-okay. You doing okay? Hanging in there? We've got some new artists moving in, so I'm not surprised that there's a little noise happening, but it's actually been a lot quieter lately now that they're not doing construction up there. It's just over the next few weeks. There might be some people moving in, so we'll just keep that in mind. And you know, it's a shared space, and it is what it is, but it's all good, right? Okay. What now? Oh yes. Is my hot glue gun done? Alright. I'm squinting so I can see. Oh yes, over here. I need to, I'm realizing I need to mix a dark shade of blue, which will translate almost as black. We're going to take black, we're going to take blue, a lot of blue, and we're going to take red. We're going to mix that up. Hopefully you can see. I'm going to add a little bit more black and blue. Okay, so just putting that in my water, and I'm going to add some depth in here. Adding some confident brush strokes that create texture, because this is textured paint. And we're going to make that more confident. We're going to make this more confident in here as well. And then look, you just kind of move it into the painting that you already have when you're incorporating something new. In here, let's just add some thickness of paint. Look, you can take your finger, blend out some of those borders. Okay. I actually want to do a little bit of that in here as well. I just want to make it a little bit darker in here, and I'm painting over my sparkles and whatnot so that they feel more integrated. They feel less stuck onto the piece. And one of the mistakes I think a lot of people make when they're adding textures, they think it needs to be all over. And in a way, it needs to be evenly dispersed. But it doesn't necessarily need to be all over. It needs to make some type of visual sense. It needs to be balanced, but it's okay if some parts of the painting is more textured than other parts of the painting. So in here, it's actually supposed to be fog, some type of fog. So I'm just taking purple and blue and I'm finger painting it, blending it in with what I have. Gonna highlight that. Don't be afraid to finger paint. You're never too cool to finger paint. Let's add a little shadow at the end, or where it connects a little bit. Just, I don't know, somehow just visually pulls it together. Take some pinkish purple, move it in here. So here's a butterfly that I stuck on there. Behind it's kind of pink. So I'm going to put a blob of pink under the butterfly and kind of make it touch the butterfly. And then take some blue. That way it just feels like it's not just stuck on the painting. It feels integrated. Just adding a little bit of paint onto the butterfly. Not too much. And then we're going to do the same thing, put it under, kind of just paint over the butterfly a little bit. That looks good. Alright. I think my hot glue gun is hot enough. Alright, let's see what happens if we just take some of this moss, put it in, put it on the, okay, I'm gonna break it up. I'm gonna start off putting it in the places that kind of match the texture. Actually, I still want to put it here. So I'm going to just add, this is going to be weird because moss, this type of fake moss is kind of loose. But look how I'm connecting it to my frame. Basically, this is a very experimental, fun painting. Way funner than a lot of art out there. As you can tell, it's not taking itself too seriously. So this looks good, but I don't know if that's too much. If we should put this up here. I don't know. It's a bit brighter than what I thought, but I kind of low-key love it. Let's put it here. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay, so now that that's on there, let's take the paint and kind of paint over it a little bit with some of the dark paint that's around it. Maybe some blobs. I mean, that looks pretty good. I like that. Now, maybe I could put a piece of wood right here. Maybe here. I mean, that looks kind of cool. Hang on. I have a lot of 3D stuff, so I have to kind of stay focused. Let's add. So visually speaking, the things that are closer to the viewer will look like it has more texture. So I'm gonna refrain from putting moss too far back in the distance. I'm gonna make the moss like a up close type of thing. And you see how I'm letting it interfere with my frame, which feels really risky because, like I said, my frame was expensive. So like if this doesn't work out, it's gonna be like so like poo, dang it. But you know what, whatever, like I think it's a good idea. Maybe right here is good. Maybe over here. Maybe right here. Or maybe right there. Wait, up there kind of seems like it matches. I don't know why. It feels like it needs it right there. Maybe that's too much. I don't like it. It's too much. Let's put it back. Let's put it here. I think my first instinct was probably more correct. Okay. Oh, it's getting all over me and I don't like the way it feels. It's like sensory. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good. I don't know. I feel like it needs to go all the way down or something. I'm not sure. I'm overthinking it. I love how I'm staying true to the way this painting already, like what it already is doing. Yeah, I think it's important to make sure that, and I already said this, but it's important to make sure that you understand what you're painting is, what it wants, and give it what it needs. That's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to give the painting what it needs, you know? So that's the goal. And hopefully you're learning a thing or two. Okay. I have these really pretty pieces of glass that I kind of want to put throughout the painting. At least just in a few places to catch the light. And so, and I'll pick off all of the little strings from the hot glue, but I don't know if you can see, but it's just this container of glass. It's not sharp, and they all kind of look alike. Let me see if I have a little, here, I'll put it in the lid. And then that way I can pick through it easy. There's one piece in here that's actually pretty big. This one. This one's awesome. I love this piece. What if I put it... I feel like up here. I feel like the lower portion of the painting, visually speaking, feels like it's closer to us. So the more texture added to like in here, the more 3D it'll feel. If I put too much texture in the background, it's just gonna make it feel like, I don't know, just too much. So I'm just kind of adding these little pieces in where I think they might look good. And typically, if you're gonna do something, it's good to create repetition. So you don't necessarily have to do the same thing all over, but like you see how I'm doing, I'm gonna do like a little cluster here and a little cluster there, and then that way it feels intentional. So here's like one little cluster, and honestly it is hard not to overthink it, you know, it is. I'm trying to get some of these little hairs off. So if you are overthinking it, just take a step back, realize if you add too much, you can always pop it off later. Okay, let's add some of this onto the frame because it's kind of breaking down here. Let's add some onto the frame. So I'm adding some of these, and like I said, this is very scary for me. Like I said, this frame costed like $200. So it's like, scary, but you know, taking risks is important in your artwork because it's really no risk. I mean, no one's gonna get hurt. You're not gonna get hurt. Maybe your ego, but that's it. And if you're risky, your art's gonna be risky. And I could be wrong, but risky art is way better than safe art, right? Safe art puts you to sleep, which I guess is good for ASMR. And I do have some art that people would say is safe, like a lot of my portraiture, landscapes, and I love traditional art, but sometimes it's good to just push the boundaries, try something different. I wonder if I added a little here. I mean, that looks pretty cool already. I don't necessarily want it to be like, oh, the whole painting is painted over the frame. I want the frame to still do its job and frame the painting, but I want it to look like it's the painting and the artwork is spilling out of the frame. I'm trying to, if you see me grabbing at the air, it's just me trying to move some of these little the hairs coming from the hot glue. I'm doing a little cluster here. All right. already I'm really liking this. I mean, that looks pretty cool. Can you see it okay from where you are? I do monitor while I record, but there's only so much I can pick up through the screen. All right. That looks cool. I feel like I want to move on to something a little different. Hang on. Are you hanging in there? Thankfully it's still bright outside. I'm telling you, recording during the winter can be hard because it gets dark so much earlier, and obviously when it's dark you can't see as well, but I am gonna, eventually figure out how to light it to where I can record at night and it still feels well lit. So yeah, I love these. Okay, I've got these little dewdrops that I can stick on there. I've got a lot of little things in here, so hang on. I've got some flowers, which I love. Some rocks. Okay. I don't know if you can see, probably not. Oh, some hairs. Don't think I'll need the hair. All right. So I've got a few little flowers. Let's see if I can. Let's move the paint to right there for now. Make a little pile of 3D stuff. Okay. Let's add a little flower here. And here, let's add a rock. This is actually a bead, but it's a rock bead. That way it feels like there's a little rock in. Let's add this rock here. Hang on, I have to push. There. Sometimes hot glue can be a little annoying. Alright. Actually, I want that to be catty-cornered or kind of like angled so it goes along with the vibe. Do we want some moss in here? I mean, I feel like there needs to be something over here. Like, it just feels a little bit flat and dead. You know? Maybe right here is good. Let's do it. I'm just gonna put it directly on the canvas. And just give it that number. And then maybe some of, whoop. That could be good. Maybe below it a little bit. Maybe, yeah, because that looks like, I don't know. I don't want to obstruct the flow of anything that I already have. but somehow that feels like it could work. I like that. This is a little weird. I might need a piece of wood. I mean, that might be cool right there, you know. It's like more committed. I like that. That's committed as hell. And I'm gonna make it go on to the, okay. Yeah, I'm here for it. Okay. I have to kind of like use my mouth. Hang on. I have to fish it. Gotta get it on there before it dries. Uh-oh. Okay, just stick it on. All right. Oh yeah. Wow. Okay, now that I have that on there, let's put some paint around it so that it doesn't feel just like, oh, you just stuck it on there. We want it to feel integrated. So big blob of paint of the color that's around it, put it next to it. Same with on this side. I know you can't really see it from your angle, but trust me, this helps. Let's put a big blob of paint on top of the moss and just kind of blend it in with the paint around it. There. Same with here. Just that way it'll feel like it's coming from the painting rather than just like stuck right on top of the painting. I keep feeling little like hairs from the hot glue, and it just feels like a spider or something, and it keeps freaking me out. I'm like, oh, but we're okay. We're here. All right. That looks good. Wow. I love that. Okay. This is actually working. Woohoo. Hang on, let's see. Maybe I should put that there too. Yeah. Somehow that makes sense. Or is it too much? Maybe I should put it over here. I feel like that's too much. Maybe I should move on from that area and then come back. I think that's a good idea because I already did add quite a lot. No, but this is spongy. It feels really good. It feels good until it starts raking apart and like getting all over you, and then it's just like, let's take a picture of this and see how it's coming along through the lens. Oh yeah, it looks cool. I feel like this needs to be darkened a little bit. Like, let's take some black, paint over it. There. It was just a little bit too bright, but that looks better. Adding the paint over the texture, I'm telling you, it's a little trick that I have. You know? I feel like I might need to step away from it and then come back and decide. Let's add a little bit of paint on it, just make it a little darker, blend it in. I mean, that already looks better. Yeah, that already does look better. Let's soften this a little bit in the back by adding a little bit. I feel like I need to maybe take a break and then come back tomorrow and work on it. Like, leave everything the way it is and then come back tomorrow. And I don't know for sure that I can record. Actually, I don't think I can record tomorrow. I mean, there's a chance that I can, but now that I'm thinking of it, around this time I have plans. I'm sticking some flowers on here in the areas that are similar to that color so that it blends. Where did my butterflies go? I have butterflies, more butterflies like what I have here. Where did they go though? Oh, here they are. I could maybe add a butterfly. They're clips, so I'm just gonna pull it off the clip. I mean, I like it up here. Then I'm just gonna hot glue it. That looks good. I have a little gummy bear. I don't know if that matches this one. Here's another butterfly. Maybe I can add this one here. I don't know if that's going to be too many butterflies, but worst case scenario, I can always just take it off, but pulled it off the clip and sticking it on there. Honestly, this is really cute. Wow. I don't know if it's done or not. I'm gonna have to think about it. But I think it looks really good, at least, which is a start at the very least. I'm having kind of a bad hair day, but it's okay. I'm gonna step away from this, take a look, decide what it needs. Really, you can't really know when you're staring at your painting. You have to really step away from it, and it might be a year later and you're like, oh, I need to fix this. Don't be afraid to do that if you need to. But I like it. I think it turned out good. Hi friends, good to see you. Welcome to my art studio. It's another really pretty day, and I'm gonna take a minute and work on my three-dimensional landscape painting. I'm really excited about the way it's turning out so far. I think it looks really, really good. And I slept on it, and after sleeping on it, I decided what I needed to do. just a few little things here and there to bring it all together. You may notice that the painting is extending onto the canvas, and that is the goal. You never really know when a painting is done, so keep that in mind. It's all right if you go some time without working on the painting. It's been at least a year, other than working on it yesterday. I let it sit for a year before I decided to frame it and go back into it. I read some of the comments from yesterday's Twitch stream saying that this reminded you of a beautiful fairy world, which is exactly what I was going for. My Instagram handle and my clothing line is called Scary Fairy, and the room that this is going in is my fairy room. So it's really good. So yeah, let's just go ahead, and I'm gonna work on this for about an hour. It's gonna be a shorter stream today, so just preparing you for that. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. You ready? Okay. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this cloud a little bit lighter by taking my purpley pink color, mixing it with water, and creating a wash. It's a beautiful day today, and I'm harnessing all that beauty into this painting. I'm allowing the colors to show through. If there's too many brush strokes, you can always do a little finger painting. This technique works best with acrylic. I wouldn't really recommend this with oil paint, because oil paint you kind of have to go thin to thick. That feels better. I wanted it to be pushed back into the distance a little bit. So if you notice in your painting after looking at it that something that's supposed to be more distant, like the sky, if it feels like it's too close up, if it feels too strong, put a wash over it. Push it back in the distance by basically decreasing the contrast and or saturation. So that's a little helpful hint, hopefully. Okay. Okay, what else did I see earlier that I was like, okay, I definitely need to do that? I want to make this feel just a little bit hazier. That's good. So this is the fog. Let's add some brighter blue contrast here. I need to add some black to my paint palette. Oh, free paint and squeeze it out the top, except for part of it's dry, so I have to pick off the dry part. Okay. And then you close it just like so. All right. Taking a little bit of the black, mixing it with blue. Okay. Let's take a little bit of my fluorescent pink and just plop it in here a little bit, just to make that feel brighter, like it's closer to me as the viewer. I'm gonna mix some of that fluorescent pink with my light pink and just dot, 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 just like so. Very pretty. And let's add a little bit of this fluorescent greenish turquoise in here. That push towards the green is a nice transition between the blue and the pink. See how that feels more glowy? Let's add a little bit of that down here as well. I really like this color. Actually, let's add a little bit of pink in there as well. I added the pink, but I want to preserve some of the blue around it as well. So I'm adding that back in. That looks good, and that feels distant, which is what we're going for. Taking a little bit of that turquoise, moving it through the distant trees to give it that hazy appearance. Very pretty. I feel like I need to pull out the trees a little bit more, even though I like the haziness. And there's a balance. So I'm taking pink and blue and a little bit of black, making kind of a murky purple color, mixing it on the canvas with my paintbrush. That's good. Kind of brings in these distant trees. I like that. Hopefully you're learning a thing or two about painting and about just being free with your art and adding texture and the different ways that you can add texture and create that cool dynamic where maybe parts of the painting are full of texture and parts of the painting are smooth. Okay. I really want to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to not look at the reference at all for a little bit of time. And let's start with that. I'm just holding that there for now. Alright. I heated up my hot glue gun. Well, I thought I was heating it up. Oh, I was not. It's not plugged in after all. Hang on, guys. 1 second. Alright, let's let the hot glue gun heat up a little bit. And I guess while the hot glue gun heats up, I will continue working on the painting and just focusing on what stands out to me visually. Let's make this feel a bit more hazy, like fog, because I think that's what it's trying to be. But it's not quite coming through. I'm just doing circular motions. I'm blending it in with my finger. Wow, that's quite lovely. That did a lot. Maybe I'll do a little bit here. Sometimes when you find something that you like in your painting, you want to do it all over the painting, which can be good at times, but sometimes it's not good. So just use discretion. You know, just because it's good in one part of the painting doesn't mean you need to go all over and do the same thing, because it can be a little bit too repetitious at times. I don't usually know when to stop per se. A lot of times I get tired of working on the painting and I just feel like, okay, it's a good time to take a break and then I can come back to it later. But really, whenever everything feels balanced and together, that's a good time to stop and take a break. Sometimes a break could be a year. I worked on this painting for, maybe 15 hours over a year ago. I'm going back into it with new ideas after having looked at it and contemplating it. But basically, a lot of times your painting will actually speak to you. So not audibly, but if you look at it long enough and you see something wrong with it, think of various ways you can fix or combat whatever it is that's not working. Fix it and then see if that does the trick. But like I said, when a painting speaks to you, it's that feeling when you're looking at your painting and there's these things about it that you don't like. Listen to that, figure out what it is, figure out how you can fix it, and then see if there's harmony in the painting. But a lot of times it will tell you what it needs, if that makes sense. Hopefully it makes some sense, at least. All right. Where is my painting palette? I'm looking. Or my palette knife, I mean. Here, we'll use this plastic palette knife I have. I'm gonna scoop up some of my thick layers of paint and put them around my beads, because right now it feels like the beads are just kind of stuck onto the canvas, where I want them to feel more like they're in the painting. And palette knife painting is a good way to do that. I need to make sure it feels connected to the rest of the painting as well. So I added the blue and blending that into the moss. Okay, that looks good. See how that's like all loose? I'm looking at the color behind it. It's kind of like a murky pink. So I'm going to scoop that up, lay it behind it, and just push my beads into the paint so it feels connected. I mean, that looks pretty good. Putting a little bit of blue back in here because it's maybe a bit too much pink. Alright. See, already that feels more, I don't know. It works. Okay, so let's take some of this blue, push it into the beads. See, these things, this is what makes a painting like truly yummy. This is what makes it truly like where it appeals to all of your senses. So look at this beautiful luscious blob. Again, if you're safe, your painting will be safe. If you're risk-taking, your painting will take risks. So keep that in mind. Okay. I wonder if my hot glue gun is warmed up. We can at least see, but I was kind of wanting to put this here. I definitely want it to kind of come off of the canvas and into the frame in just a few places. And again, this is how you make art. I mean, I could just say this is how you make art, but this is how you make art that is, I would say, at the very least, experimental, but also art that will strongly connect with people. Because the more you put yourself out there, the more polarizing it is. So maybe not everyone will connect with it, but the people who connect with it will really connect with it. And you do that by being authentic and pleasing yourself with your art. Nobody else. Like, I mean, you end up pleasing people along the way when you're authentic to yourself, which is a really beautiful and special thing. But you can't aim to please people. You have to aim to please yourself. So keep that in mind. That's how you make authentic art. And at the very least, I would say having authentic art is a good thing. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but if it's authentic, there's really nothing else you can ask for, because you can't be everyone's cup of tea. At least not all of your art can be everyone's cup of tea. I mean, some of it can be some people's cup of tea and others, great, you know? I think having one here would be good. And if somebody likes an earlier version of your painting, that's fine too. I mean, if they're like, well, I liked it before you did all this stuff to it, you know, I respect that. At the end of the day, I'm making it for me. And I trust that it will gravitate towards the right people. Or the right people will gravitate towards it. Here's one of my blobs that I peeled off of my paint palette, one of my dry paint palettes. And I'm going to, I was going to put it here at the base of the painting, but now I'm thinking adding it up here could be interesting. Like right here, it could be cool. And then I can work around it, work purple around it to blend it in, because it's going to stick out a little bit too much at first. I tried to attach it down here with Gorilla Glue yesterday, and the blob was too heavy and it fell before the glue dried, which is, hang on, how to use my mouth. The glue dried before we were really able to do anything, or it fell before the glue dried because it was too heavy. So I just put the blob aside and I was like, you know what, I'll work with it later, and here we are removing it. Okay. I have these starfish, which are dead, and I do feel a little bit bad about that because I am a vegetarian, but I love leather and I love dead starfish, I guess. But I was thinking if I put it here, that might be an interesting place, but I mean, it kind of, I don't know, I don't want it to take away from the harmony of the painting. Maybe over here would be good, because we've already got like a little shell. I mean, here's like a little vignette, you know? I don't know, should we put it in the left-hand corner? I mean, that kind of breaks away the harmony of the painting because it's like a light thing in the dark. I'm thinking, let's put it over here in this area where it's already like really, really textured, and you kind of want your eye to be able to land somewhere. That's what I'm thinking. Because I want to keep it in harmony with the colors. I think this is the bottom of it. Or right here. I mean, that's probably even better because there's really nothing going on in this corner down here. And I could actually make it break onto, I like this idea. Barely have it on the frame down here. It's more nuanced. I love it. Okay. Or do I need a smaller one? This is a smaller one. I don't know, maybe the smaller one. Big, small. I think the small one. It's kind of hard to say. But I feel like having a starfish in this is a good idea. Okay. So yeah, I feel like my outfit today might not be as a dramatic match as yesterday, but it does pick up some of the fairyish softness of the vibe of the painting, which I love. Okay. I want this to look smooth. I feel like it's kind of like not flowing right. Hang on. That looks good. But yeah, there's, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say. What am I trying to say? I don't really have a consistent streaming schedule. I record mostly in the afternoon, sometimes during the weekday when it's quiet, sometimes during the week, and it's usually between 3 and, or between like 1 and 5 sometime. But yeah, it kind of just depends on how quiet it is in the studio and what all I have going on that day and that week, because every day is different. This is the starfish we're gonna use. I feel like it matches a little bit better than the other one, so let's put it down here. Like I said, make it go onto the frame. I'm putting a bunch of hot glue, and then I'm just going to connect it. I hope I have enough hot glue there. Is that secure? I feel like I need a little bit more hot glue, because okay, it needs to kind of to act as kind of like a putty to connect between the starfish and the frame and the it looks good though. Do you see how the starfish doesn't disrupt the darkness happening over here, because I put it where things are getting light and bright? That's the goal when you add 3D objects to your painting. At least for me, there are times I'm like, okay, I want to enhance or contrast something that's already in the painting. And then there are times where I'm like, okay, I want to have this set into the painting to where when you look closer, you see more of it. So just be aware of what different things do and how different things might communicate differently depending on how you utilize them in your painting. All right, so I'm gonna push this back a little bit, which means in my world pushing it back means making it less obvious, making it blend into the surroundings, or pushing it back into space. So I'm going to push this back by adding blues and purples around it to make it feel like it's connected to the space around it, if that makes sense. See how I'm painting over the blob, adding different shades of purple and pink. I mean, that looks pretty cool already. I mean, I feel like it kind of, something happened that maybe doesn't quite work. So let me get my fluorescent pink add a little bit more onto my canvas. And then I'm gonna take some of my fluorescent pink, mix it with my light pink, and create a halo from the backlight around it. Again, that looks good. I'm trying to preserve the initial light structure of the painting, maybe pushing it, making it pop a little bit, but for the most part, trying to preserve it. Let's see. I have a few more rocks. I have another little broken starfish that might look cute. And here, why not? Maybe over here, hiding in the moss a little bit. I like that because it's broken, so I can hide some of its broken defectiveness in the moss. That's cute. This really appeals to my inner child, and I think different artworks heal the artist in different ways depending on what you're working on. And I feel like that this painting definitely is healing to my inner artist, or my inner child. It's like colors and a world that I've always imagined. I like this rock here. You see how cute that is? Maybe up here. Maybe here, because the land is kind of sliding down. I don't know. I like it here, I think. Hang on. Maybe in here where it's already kind of chaotic. I feel like this rock needs to go somewhere. I mean, this is not a bad spot for it. That makes sense visually, but I also feel like it's pushed back further. I kind of want all of the three-dimensional stuff to be closer to the viewer. Like, I'll explain what I mean here in a second. So, put my hot glue and put it here. So essentially, down here, I want there to be more 3D objects, so it feels like it's coming out of, like, we're the viewer, we're placed here at the end of the lake or the river on like a little plot of land, and so everything here is coming towards us visually. So it would make sense that it would break the barrier of the frame and be more three-dimensional, but everything back here is further away from the viewer, so it would make sense there would be less contrast back there. So less three-dimensional objects, less texture, etc. However, I do obviously still have three-dimensional objects and texture so that it all feels like it's a part of the same world, which is very important when you're working on a painting. Just make sure everything's a part of the same world. Otherwise, it'll just feel like a discombobulated mess. Maybe this could go here, maybe here. I like the idea of having this over here, just in this little pile. These are rocks, but they're also beads. So like if the viewer looks up close, they'll be able to see that they're beads because there's a little hole in the rock. Okay. You're doing okay. Okay. Trying to think what else I have. Oh yeah, I forgot I have some more jewels. Let's take a look at all these little doodads. I have like some little jewels. I like these little square beads. I want to definitely work with these. I'm going to grab a few of those. They're kind of this oil spill vibe. I'm going to put the lid onto my paint palette so that my paints stay nice and wet. Hang on. I have this lid that's airtight and it keeps my acrylics nice and fresh. Okay. So I have my little beads. Now I just need to decide where I want to put them. I think in here could be good, maybe, or maybe in here. Oh, I have an idea. In here. So I'm just going to continue this line that's already happening. This is what I'm using. It's like this little iridescent bead. Nice. That's really pretty. I love that. Okay. And then I've got a few more little flowers that I can put in the blue places. Maybe one right there. Maybe, I think over here. Again, I don't want to do too many three-dimensional objects or too much texture in the distance. I can have some, but not too much, because we want the distance to feel visually far away. This color is kind of random in here, but I kind of like it. Like there's nothing else in this painting that's this color, really. Except for the little remnants of leaves or petals, which is kind of neat. Here. I'm gonna put this here. Why not? Because look, we've got the remnants of the petals that are similar to that color. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a amber. Some of these jewels I'm using are vintage. They were gifted to me. I like this red one. I'm gonna put this red one here. Look, this is a little gummy bear. I might actually put that somewhere, like hide it in the painting to where you can't see it until you look closely, and then you're like, wait a second, is that a freaking gummy bear? I just have to decide where to hide the gummy bear. I think right here. Or maybe right here, because like there's pink and there's dark brown, and this gummy bear is like split between the two colors, but I'm gonna put it on its side, or it's a dark blue, so see how that kind of blends in. Okay, we've got another little butterfly. I think too many butterflies might be a problem, but I don't know. I kind of like the idea of putting one down here. It's like I said, too many is overkill, so I have to be mindful. Here's another little gummy bear I could maybe put in here. Hide it in the tree, maybe. It's also kind of an amber color, so I could put it by the dried leaves, perhaps. I don't know. I'll go back to that one. Another little pink or a yellow flower. Maybe I could put this somewhere. Maybe in here. I don't know. I think the yellow might be a little bit too much contrast unless I put it up here in one of the trees. Like right there where there's that yellow little speck. Let's try it, and if I hate it, I can pick it off and paint over, and then it's added texture. I mean, that doesn't change it really too much, which is good. Okay, what I want to do is take these beautiful pieces of glass and just add a few more here at the bottom of my painting. So I love how the glass is coming off. I want to do that in a few other places. So I'm just going to do what I did yesterday. Just put the pieces in here and go from there. I'm excited. All right. I'm just going to put them on my lap and begin hot gluing. I just didn't want that to be the only place right here, to be where these little glass pieces go onto the frame. I wanted to do it again so it felt more committed. That looks good. Maybe add a few in here. I just love anything that reflects light. I guess I'm like a raccoon in that way. Don't raccoons like shiny things? I like shiny things. They don't have to be expensive though. I like cheap, shiny things. Ooh, this one's a good piece. I'm gonna put a few around my fucking, what do you call it? What is this thing called? A starfish. Woohoo, I found it in my brain. Part of me wonders if I should put a big blob of paint behind this starfish or around it. I feel like the answer is yes, because I don't want it to feel like some of these objects are just stuck on haphazardly. I want them to feel like they belong. So this is what I like to do, is I'll take like and I showed you earlier, but I'll take my little palette knife, take a blob of paint of the color that's around it, and I'm just gonna put it back there where it's lifting off the canvas a little bit, and get a little bit of the paint on the starfish and on the frame, so it feels like it's truly like coming off and like connected to the painting. Adding some other colors around it. Okay, that looks good. A little bit more of a blob back here. I don't know if that made it worse or if it made it better. I think it's fine. Let me add, I'm adding that little, no, I hate it. Hang on, let me think. I mean, I kind of like it. Trying to decide. I feel like I have to let it dry and then add more. I have to let that blob dry and then add these pieces of glass back in around it. Maybe I could stick it in the paint like so. Because obviously glue doesn't work on wet paint. I mean, that looks kind of cool. Kind of like, I'm trying to get these little strings off of my hands. It just feels like little spiders. The hot glue. I don't know if you've ever had that happen. Where it's like little pieces of hot glue are just like, oh, okay. This piece of glass is probably gonna fall off. When it does, I'll be ready to hot glue it back on. Honestly, painting onto the frame like this and adding things to it and whatnot is definitely outside of my comfort zone, and I'm definitely having a lot of fun with it because this painting wanted to be like it wanted to be super, super whimsical, but it was like not pushing it all the way, if that makes sense. So I think adding these other elements to it really hammered it in. Okay. That looks good. Maybe one more. Okay, that looks really, really, really good. I love it. Well, anyways, I think I'm done for today. I really like the way that this painting turned out. I may or may not work on it more. I'm gonna sit back, look at it, think about it, and I'm just gonna decide later. But it's done for now. I don't want to overdo it with too many ideas. I guess I can take a picture, make sure I like it, make sure nothing crazy stands out to me. Hang on. Usually you can see anything too crazy through the lens that you didn't see before. Oh yeah, this looks good. Hang on, there's one little thing. Oop. I kind of want to just make this feel. I don't know, I felt like it needed a little something. But anyways, thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me. And I will see you next time. Mwah. Bye.